statement. I do believe the sun has set outside, but I think it's worth noting that we're also here in a way to celebrate the power of the sun as we talk about powering livelihoods through DRE. And we know that we'll only return tomorrow to brighten the day for us. So let's sit tight and wait for our Honorable Minister, Shri RAJKUMAR Singh. He's going to be entering any minute now. Thank you.
Honorable Minister, it is my great honor to welcome you at this National Summit on Powering Sustainable Livelihoods. Abhi aapne bahar kaha ki your mind thinks in terms of schemes and programs, but schemes and programs kisse bante hain? Experiences se bante hain, enterprise se bante hain, entrepreneurship se bante hain, innovation se bante hain. So our idea of creating this program called Powering Livelihoods with CEW and Will Grow. यहाँ बैठे हुए हैं Srini ji, he is the CEO of Will Grow, and Anand ji, you just met him. So Will Grow is the country's oldest and largest social enterprise incubator. And CEW, as you know, is a research organization. हमने एक partnership किया कि ये जो technologies हैं भारत में, and now we estimate that of all the countries in the world, India has the maximum number of technologies that are using distributed renewable energy to drive livelihoods. What you have seen outside is just a sample. But this sample is not small. India mein jo scale hota hai, everything becomes scale. So our estimation is that the country has a potential of 4 lakh crore rupees for using distributed renewables for livelihoods. 3.5 crore livelihoods can be generated. हमारे सिर्फ छोटे से program से, and Minister, I should also emphasize that we launched the program in the middle of the pandemic. जहाँ सब capital dry up हो गया था, people were firing employees. We launched this program. We evaluated more than 100 startups. Initially selected 6. अभी हमारे program में there are 15 startups we are supporting. Capital support, technical support, marketing support, some of them you have met. In just 2.5 years, more than 11,000 technologies deployed, more than 17,000 livelihoods enabled, 72% of those beneficiaries are women. Entrepreneurs, micro-entrepreneurs से बन रहा है ecosystem. तो इसी को celebrate करने के लिए आज का program है, and it gives me great honor to welcome you. Honorable Minister needs no introduction, but I will take the privilege of introducing him. He is the Member of Parliament from Ara, Bihar, and a member of the Indian Administrative Services from the 1975 batch of Bihar cadre. He was formerly Home Secretary of Government of India. On 3rd September 2017, he was appointed Minister of Power of Independent Charge in Prime Minister Modi's cabinet. On 30th May 2019, he was also appointed Minister of State Independent Charge of Ministry of Power, Minister of State Independent Charge of MNRE, Minister of Renewable and New and Renewable Energy, and also Minister of State in the Ministry of Skill Development and Entrepreneurship. On 7th of July 2021, Honorable Minister was elevated to the rank of Cabinet Minister. As you all know, but it's worth celebrating, under his leadership, India has implemented the world's largest program of electrifying households. 18,000 villages first connected to the grid, and then 28 million households connected within 1.5 years. His term as minister has also been marked by the interconnection of all parts of the country to an integrated grid. Please remember, our grid is more interconnected than the grid in the United States, for instance, transferring 112 gigawatts of power from one corner of the country to another. In the renewable energy sector, India's renewable energy capacity has now reached about 169 gigawatts. We are the fourth largest renewable energy country in the world already. But while all of this is happening at mega scale, India is also the very first country in the world that has come out with a policy on supporting livelihoods using distributed renewable energy. Honorable Minister, we are of course going to hear from you, but before that, I want to welcome you on stage, and you will be gifted a plant. Yes, sir. You will be gifted a plant by by 35-year-old Kuni Dehuriji. She is a master silk reeler and weaver in Tassar silk. अभी आपने वो तसर सिल्क का आपने मशीन देखा, तसर सिल्क पार्क इन क्योंझर उड़ीसा. Mantri ji, since 2016, Kuni ji has trained over 500 women herself in using these machines, using these solar silk reeling machines, helping them increase their monthly income to about 6,000-7,000 rupees. In fact, Honorable Prime Minister Narendra Modi ji, in one of his Mann Ki Baat sessions, referred to Kuni ji's efforts of training women in solar silk reeling. And like her, there are now hundreds of micro-entrepreneurs who are benefiting from this revolution. Honorable Minister, we are really excited to have you here. You have seen the technologies, you have met the entrepreneurs and the micro-entrepreneurs, but before we hear you speak, we want you to launch a solar anthem. Yes! Before it launches, let me try to read out some phrases from that solar anthem. छज्जों दीवारों पे, चरखों मीनारों पे, सौर की सुनहरी आयातें, अब है इरादे कुछ नए और कुछ नई सी आदतें, अब चल पड़े हैं लक्ष्य को देखे रे, सूरज का गोला जेब में लेके रे.
खुशियों की चलती बत्तियां, अब थोड़े ठाट में जीने, हाथों में आई मशीनें, घर घर बनी है सखियां. सतरंगी सपने कंधों पे अपने कैसे मचलते जाए रे, अब चल पड़े हैं लक्ष्य को देखे रे, सूरज का गोला जेब में लेके रे, अब चल पड़े हैं लक्ष्य को देखे रे, सूरज का गोला जेब में लेके रे.
छज्जों दीवारों पे, चरखों मीनारों पे, सौर की सुनहरी आयतें, अब है इरादे कुछ नए और कुछ नई सी आदतें, अब चल पड़े हैं लक्ष्य को देखे रे, सूरज का गोला जेब में लेके रे.
और बनमीते जगत तुझीते काज से साजरी, पहल की वीणा बाजरी, सफल बन ठाण सिकंदर यूं बढ़कर गाते हैं मॉडर्न मंत्र।
बढ़ती का पहिया भैया अब क्या रुके, सुनने हमारे किस्से आसमां झुके।
चल मित्र मेरे आ समय को फेरे,
चले वो भी साथ अपने।
सतरंगी सपने कंधों पे अपने, कैसे मचलते जाए रे। अब चल पड़े हैं लक्ष्य को देखे रे, सूरज का गोला जेब में लेके रे। अब चल पड़े हैं लक्ष्य को देखे रे, सूरज का गोला जेब में लेके रे। अब चल पड़े हैं लक्ष्य को देखे रे, सूरज का गोला जेब में लेके रे। अब चल पड़े हैं लक्ष्य को देखे रे, सूरज का गोला जेब में लेके रे। अब चल पड़े हैं।
Dedicated to New India and her new energies, CEW and Will Grow in collaboration with the band Mati Bani featuring Ashish Kulkarni of Indian Idol fame proudly has presented this solar anthem before all of you. Honorable Minister, सूरज का गोला शायद हमारे जेब में है लेकिन आपके हाथ में है. And you are driving this revolution. We are privileged to have you here and your support and your energy, not just for the big, but for the small and the micro. And this is how the energy transition is coming closer to people. We look forward to listening to you.
Shri Arnav Ghoshi, the moving force behind Council for Energy, Environment, Water. Friends, ladies and gentlemen, all the entrepreneurs present here, all the beneficiaries present here. This is truly a liberating movement. The movement towards solar, the movement towards renewable energy is actually a movement towards liberation. What is happening is that people are getting freed from the bondage of institutions which supply electricity and then charge you for it. You become a generator, you become a producer of electricity, and it liberates you. You become your own master or mistress, you are generating your own energy, you are consuming that energy. And it's the gift of God, it's coming from the sun. That's what's happening. And that is the future. We imagined this when we came out with the rules for prosumers, those who are producers and consumers. And this is actually a revolution in the beginning, in the initial stages. One revolution has happened, and that revolution happened when we started adding grid-scale solar and grid-scale renewable energy. We started displacing fossil fuel. And we've already progressed, and we had said that 40% of our established capacity will come from non-fossils by 2030, and we are already at 43%. And we are a world leader in that. We are a world leader in energy transition. So as far as the grid scale is concerned, we are doing fine. Now this is another stage, and that is the distributed applications for renewable energy. Now this is what is going to set you free. And this is again a revolution which I think needs to be started. Now we started this in a small way. पहले हम लोगों ने we started, we came out with a scheme for solar street lights. We came out with a scheme for solar lamps for children. Now all those things we sort of started. We also came out with a scheme for rooftops, which we still have. We have a scheme for rooftops where we give 40% for any solar panel which you set up for, supplementing the electricity which you buy from the DISCOM. But, so that's also distributed generation. But this is something different. And I believe that we need to expand this much further. We've started small, but we need to expand this much further. We are coming out with a new scheme for distributed applications. And that new scheme will aim to expand this totally. In fact, we see renewable energy touching every aspect of our lives, whether it is, education, whether it is agriculture, whether it is industry, small scale industry, whether it is, cooling or heating of living spaces, net zero buildings. We see renewable energy touching us in every aspect of our lives. And this is one, of course, very crucial aspect, very critical aspect. But we need to exploit its true potential. This is just a start. This is just the beginning. Just like we started exploiting the true potential of grid-scale solar and grid-scale wind, we need to exploit the true potential of distributed solar. And what you have done, I think, is actually an eye-opener. The fact that I didn't really realize that already so much work is happening without our support, and virtually without our support, on its own by entrepreneurs who are taking the lead. So I want to congratulate all of you. You are pioneers. And you are pioneers. And you are helping people who actually need to be helped. There's one more aspect which we need to add to that. One, of course, is, there are two aspects we need to add to it. What we are looking for. And I'll be looking for ideas as to how to put that in place. One, of course, is the manufacturing ecosystem. So if you are talking about solar dryers, I want large-scale manufacturing. How do I get there? One question. If you are talking about solar loops, I want large-scale manufacturing. Large-scale manufacturing will, number one, bring down the prices, and number two, will, unless and until you have it in numbers all across, you won't make an impact. So large-scale manufacturing is one. So on the manufacturing side, I suppose that large-scale manufacturing will come when we start creating the demand. So that's what we shall do. We'll start creating demand, and I'll invite, the different companies to go into manufacturing these equipment so that, you get assembly line production for the equipment which you just saw outside. Right now, you don't have, you have small entrepreneurs manufacturing it. We need large-scale manufacturing. We need standardization. That will bring down prices and that will make it an industrial scale. The other is marketing. We'll be getting, we'll be putting capability in the hands of different families across the country for manufacturing. Whether it's manufacturing clothes or, making sauces or whatever, all the entire range of products which we saw. Now we need mechanisms to collect it and market it. And I believe that there is a market. So we need to put in place a mechanism for collecting it and marketing. That's the other end of the spectrum. Of course, we will make the DRE equipment affordable. That's what we will do. So one, of course, will be tying up with the banks apart from NBFCs, so that any family wants to own a solar dryer or a hydroponics fodder growing system or whatever, they should be able to get financing from the banks. So these are the things which we need to tie up as a country. So one is financing, the other, of course, is, in the initial stages, provide some assistance to make it affordable, though I don't see that the costs are very high. And the third, of course, is large-scale manufacturing, which we believe will come if we add volumes, but we'll need to draw the attention of the industry towards this sector. We're just starting, and this is very timely. Your conclave on this is absolutely very timely. And for me, it is very useful having come and seen what is happening already. What we'll do is, when we are tailoring our scheme, we'll consult you people so that we make sure that the scheme actually gives you assistance where it is required. We are emerging, as Arnava said, we are a pioneer. We are already, as I said, we are a leader in renewable energy. We are a leader in energy transition. We are also a leader in distributed applications for renewable energy. And I believe that's a good place to be in. Being a leader, I think, is something which I like. And India is emerging as a leader in most aspects. We have emerged as a leader in the power sector. I mean, we carried out the largest expansion of access ever in the history of electricity. In no other country has 29 million homes been connected to electricity in just about 18, 19 months flat. We did it. That was the largest expansion of access ever in the history of electricity. That's what the International Energy Agency held it as. We have added from 14, 15 onwards till date, we've added 184 gigawatts of capacity, 184,000 megawatts of capacity we've added. Now our total established capacity is 416 gigawatts. I mean, adding 184 gigawatts in a space of 8-9 years is again a record. I don't think any other country would have done that. Apart from China, I don't have the figures for China, but outside of China, no other country would have added this much of capacity. We connected the whole country into one grid. We added almost about 180,000 circuit kilometers of transmission lines we added to connect the whole country into one grid. Today, we are the largest single grid in the world, integrated grid in the world, largest, capable of transferring almost 120,000 megawatts from one corner of the country to another. And of course, we emerged as one of the fastest growing renewable energy capacities in the world. When there was an energy disruption because of the war in Ukraine, we sort of kept our systems on an even keel. Our prices remained on an even keel. And while in Europe and in the developed world, the prices went up 7-fold, 8-fold. It went up to almost about 60 euro cents per unit in Europe. I mean, in our country, it was at a level, sort of a keel. It was on an even keel. We kept supplying electricity, no disruptions, and the prices remain on an even keel. And that's what happened. I mean, today, the demand touched 221 gigawatts. Now, that's a record. I mean, it's the largest yet. But I see this growing further. Our demand has been growing at 10%. Last year, it grew at 8%. This year, it grew at 10%. In no other country has electricity demand grown at such a rate. And this is huge. This is huge. For a huge country like India, a demand growing at 8% and then growing at 10% is huge. But we are meeting that demand. And we will continue meeting that demand. And it will continue to grow. Why? Because our country will continue to grow. It will continue growing at 7% plus. And that requires my power sector to grow at 10% approximately, which is a huge, huge challenge within such a huge country. But we shall meet it. I have about 82,000 megawatts of renewable energy capacity under construction. And I have almost about 50,000 megawatts of thermal capacity under construction. Another about 14,000 megawatts of hydro capacity under construction. So we shall meet it. No doubt about it. We emerge as a leader, we intend to remain a leader. Even the systems we have put in place are, the best ever, and other countries can come and emulate us. They they actually should find out, they want to find out as to how we are doing it, how we make sure that our markets didn't climb. We, in fact, brought the ceiling down from 20 rupees to 10 rupees today. So the ceiling price of electricity in the market is 10 rupees now. It used to be 20 rupees when I started. And it's working, and it will continue to work. It will continue to work. And we will continue to make sure that the energy which is required for us to keep growing at 7%, 8%, 9%, that will be there. The demand is, the requirement is huge. I'll have to double my capacity by 2030, but that I shall do. That we shall do. When other people look at us, whether this developed world, they look at us, the eyes get wide open in amazement, just at the sheer scale of what we are and what we are doing. And this is another aspect of it, the distributed applications. And this is an aspect which touches lives, which touches families, and which puts more income in the hands of families. So we shall be pushing it. Thank you for inviting me. I believe that coming here was absolutely useful, very useful. Thank you very much.
Honorable Minister, thank you for your speech. I don't have questions for you, but one comment I did want to make based on this thing you said about scale right towards the end. Because it's one thing to be the leader. It's another to be a leader in all segments. And this is what is the unique thing about India, right? That we can be leader, we can build the largest interconnected grid, and we can also have the largest number of entrepreneurs who are using distributed energy. We can build very large solar parks. लेकिन एक वो किताब लिखा था 1970s, the small is beautiful, E.F. Schumacher. But small is not just beautiful, small can also be scale, right? And this combination is a lesson for the world. Because अगर आप sub-Saharan Africa में जाएंगे, then electricity access भी नहीं हुआ है अभी तक. Some of their cities are dense enough कि वहाँ grid connected power will come. But some of their communities will require distributed energy. They will, if all the solutions then can come from India in a way, right? That India has done the large scale grid and it has done the small scale, then we become, just like we are saying in the G20, the voice of the global south. So maybe one last thought if you could give on how do this entirety of India's energy transition becomes an example, and how do we use this as a way to engage with other countries?
You're right, Adama. That is true. As I said, nobody could have thought that any country will achieve its NDC 9 years ahead of the target date. We did it. We had said 40% from non-fossils by 2030, that 40% of our power generation capacity will come from non-fossils by 2030. We did it by 2021. Today it's 43%. Now similarly, I think this, the distributed energy applications part is another field where we need to forge ahead rapidly. We need to forge ahead not only to make a record, that is besides the point. We need to forge ahead because, as I said, it will benefit so many thousands and hundreds and thousands of families. If we can, do this, it will increase their incomes manyfold. So I believe that this is as important, or in fact, more important, I would say, because it will probably cover more families than the program we launched for rooftop or the program we launched for Kusum. Both are distributed applications and both are huge programs. This is going to be the third huge program. And we shall make it so. We shall make it so. We'll make this the third huge program. Rooftop, agriculture irrigation, that is Kusum, and this.
I should mention, 2 years ago, Honorable Minister represented India at the United Nations for what was called the High-Level Dialogue on Energy. In fact, half of the world's energy compacts came from India. But at that time, the phrase that you had used was citizen-centric energy transition. This is the example of that citizen-centric energy transition. Thank you, Honorable Minister. Nandini,
Thank you.
We have... Come.
Thank you, Honorable Minister, for telling us all about the renewable energy revolution in India and for powering India. Going forward with your support and vision, we're surely to see greater integration of DRE and its scaled impact in the coming years. In alignment with this topic, our team at CEW has evaluated markets and feasibility of DRE technologies in comparison to conventional variants and has produced a report titled Decentralized Renewable Energy Technologies for Sustainable Livelihoods: Market, Viability, and Impact Potential in India. The report is authored by Abhishek Jain and Wase Khalid. CEW has also worked on an issue brief where the team assessed the socio, environmental, and economic impact of clean energy technologies. They surveyed 700 plus end users in over 19 states of India. And the brief is titled, How Decentralized Renewable Energy Power Technologies Impact India's Livelihoods. The brief is authored by Divya Gaur Priyatam Yasasvi, and Abhishek Jain. We're enthused to launch these studies today as it will give critical insights to policymakers, investors, and civil society organizations. I kindly request Honorable Minister Shri RAJKUMAR Singh and Dr. Ghosh to launch the report with the authors, and Mr. Srinivas, CEO of Will Grow Innovations Foundation, as well as Mr. Anant, to come to the stage. Thank you. I would request Dr. Ghosh and Honorable Minister to kindly stay back on the stage for another photo op with all of our end users. Thank you so much. I request Ramesh Peluru, Program Lead at CEW, along with all of the end users present here today, who have been an integral part of our journey, for a photo op. Thank you. A big round of applause for all the end users. Thank you. Thank you, everyone, and a big congratulations to the team. A special thank you to Honorable Minister Shri RAJKUMAR Singh for gracing us with his presence here today. I would like to request Divya Gaur, Program Associate at CEW, to give a vote of thanks.
Thank you, Nandini. I must begin with saying that our hearts are full today to see all of you turn up in such great numbers. It gives us immense confidence to have such a diverse set of stakeholders here, from end users to financiers to policymakers to civil society organizations, all under one roof, to know about the potential of DRE technologies to enable livelihoods. We keep talking about this within our team, how to get all of you together, and it feels like a dream come true. We are greatly thankful to all of you for being here and making this summit happen. We would like to also extend a heartfelt thanks to our supporters, IKEA Foundation, Good Energies Foundation, Duin Foundation, Shell Foundation, and Foreign Commonwealth and Development Office of the UK government. Without their support, this would have not been possible. Thanks to our esteemed speakers and panelists for filling the room with great ideas and opportunities. A special thanks to our end users from coming across the country, some of them from very remote areas. They lit up the summit with their beautiful stories and smiling faces. Thank you to our entrepreneurs who are always on their toes to bring innovations to us and making our lives easier. Thanks to the Powering Livelihoods team, thanks to the communication team and admin teams from CW and Wilgrow, ITC Moria team for putting together this beautiful summit. And of course, thanks to our super talented MC for engaging the audience so well. What a power-packed day at the National Summit on Powering Sustainable Livelihoods. There is so much to take from these 5 hours. We hope all of you are enthused to leverage this massive opportunity in front of us. We hope this room today has forged a lot of partnerships and many more in the future. I know some of you are already humming to the tune of Suraj Ka Gola, so before we move for the dinner, let's do it once more. So you will have to sing after me, just 4 lines, and let's start. 3, 2, 1. Is everybody ready? Give me a cheer. So let's sing it, guys. Ab chal pade hain. Come on. Suraj ka gola jeb mein leke re. Thank you so much, everyone. We are extremely grateful. Please move to the dinner behind you. Thank you. Thank you so much for a lovely evening.